Hi, everybody. I am Erica Miller. Today on People from Cleveland Are Dope, we are going to talk about fitness. Our featured person from Cleveland this time is Denise Rowell, a certified group fitness instructor and the operator of Un.DEN.iable Fitness. Denise is a graduate of Cleveland Heights High School and has been teaching fitness classes in the Cleveland area for over 30 years. Her love of fitness began when she started taking a step aerobics class at Valley Total Fitness, and she has been sharing her love of fitness with us ever since. Her wit and sense of humor are unmatched, and her journey is inspirational. Denise, welcome to People from Cleveland Are Dope. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Erica. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too, my friend. It's been too long.
Excited.
Okay, so I like to start off the interviews by asking people from Cleveland what neighborhood they grew up in. So tell us about that.
I grew up in Cleveland Heights. My family, we moved here in 75. I was born in England, but we moved here in 1975. Jamaican parents, so that was part of my culture. So we ended up here in Cleveland Heights, and I've pretty much lived in Cleveland Heights ever since we've been here in the U.S. So that's been my story. Graduated, like you said, from Cleveland Heights High School, and that's pretty much where my life started. And I'm still in Cleveland Heights. Love it here. Love Cleveland Heights.
That's love right there. So, where did you like to hang out when you were growing up?
Wow. So it seems like a lot of the places that I used to hang out are closed. But when I was younger, there was a club on Cedar and South Taylor called Peabody's. That was kind of like a reggae type of reggae, kind of like a reggae type of place. So there was that place, because reggae, of course, it's going through my blood. So Mirage on the Water, if you remember that, downtown.
Of course.
that, I think that is closed now. I think I'm showing my age. And then where else? The Reason Why on Shaker Square. So those were the kind of like the hangout, kind of like club places when I was growing up, because I liked to dance. So those were the places that I used to hang out more often than not when I would go out. Those are the places the places really that I can think about, as in my 20s when I would hang out. That's where I would be, going out and then struggling through the week because I stayed up too late. But yeah, those were the big places when I was growing up, for the most part. Yeah.
I remember, even if I didn't frequent them, I certainly remember the names of all of those places. So you graduated from Cleveland Heights High School, and then what? Where'd you go to college?
Right. Graduated from Cleveland Heights, went to Bowling Green for probably a year and a half. Wasn't quite ready because I graduated from high school early. So I ended up going to college. I think I was probably not quite ready to be away from home, but I embraced the idea of going off to college. Came home, decided that I would just work and pay for school myself. So I figured if I was paying for it, I would take it a little bit more seriously. Ended up at Tri-C, part-time, working part-time, and then transferred to Notre Dame College. And I was in a weekend program. Was at Notre Dame College in South Euclid for for a number of years because it was a weekend situation. So I was in classes every other weekend, Fridays and Saturdays. Got my degree in human resource management in 94. Um, and then I decided at that point that I really liked school because at first I think I went off to school because I thought that was the thing to do, but I wasn't quite ready. And again, I think I was more in love with the idea of being able to be away from home. And, my sister was a Bowling Green as well. So I wasn't really alone, but just trying to figure out my way, find my way. And then I found out that I loved school from my experience with Notre Dame College. Ended up, I think at that time, once I finished my bachelor's degree, I was working at Case at the time, and that's how you and I met. And working there, I was like, it doesn't make any sense to be at an educational institution and not go back to school. So I got my master's there in nonprofit management. And because I always knew that I was going to have a career not in the for-profit sector. I always thought it was going to be in education or something nonprofit based. So I didn't pursue the MBA for that reason. So I got a degree in nonprofit management. And that's where my educational piece, it kind of stopped there, but I was still hungry to learn more. And then the fitness piece kind of surfaced in my life at that point because I still wanted to learn, but I knew that the education that I had was able to get me professionally to where I wanted to be. So I wasn't going to pursue any other degrees. I thought about a PhD program, but then I was like, no, I really didn't need that. So then I started thinking about fitness, and that's kind of how I ended up pursuing the fitness road. That's kind of how it introduced itself, kind of sort of still hungry to learn, but not necessarily in human resources.
Okay. So how did you get your certification to teach group fitness?
So I was, it all started, I was kind of an introvert. In fact, I was an introvert. And I was looking for something that would make me be a little bit more outgoing. So I started going to workout classes, and I remember taking a step class at Bally's. It's Bally Scandinavia back in, it was probably in the late 80s. And I took a step class, and I was like, this is fun. It's like good music, basically, dancing with the steps. So I was just taken by that. And I was like, okay, so I could do this and get paid for it. And gym membership, like this is a win on all sides. So I ended up when I was at Case, they offered me, I was working in the athletic department, they offered me an opportunity to teach. So they paid for my certification. So I got certified probably in the 1990 maybe. And then I started teaching the lunchtime class at Case. So that's how I got into that field of teaching. It started out with me just going to some classes, liking it, thinking, hey, this is something that I could, this is a nice little side hustle, something to do. But I wasn't even really thinking about it being a side hustle. It was just, getting paid to do something that you enjoy. I wasn't really even thinking about the money. I was just thinking about getting paid for doing something fun. And so Case paid for my first certification, and it was step aerobics. And was teaching the lunchtime class, and I was having fun. I was really enjoying that because it was forcing me to be a little bit more outgoing because I was fairly quiet, and that forced me to talk more. It forced me to be a little bit more out there, and that's how it started. And then from there, I grew into other areas. So it started out with step aerobics. I was teaching at Case, and then I was like, you know what? I would really like to teach in a gym. So that's how I just going to Bally's, it turned into me working at Bally's and teaching step there. And then Bally's would change from Bally's Scandinavian to just Bally's. So, the company would change, management would change, but I would just still be able to stay there. And then I started teaching different classes. So from step aerobics to muscle conditioning to buns and abs to boot camp to Pilates. And I was getting different certifications kind of along the way.
Oh.
Because it was just, the more you can do. I was just looking for opportunities to do more and more classes. I was just so taken with athletics and just being able to work out and be fit. I was just like, I couldn't get enough of it. So every opportunity to get something else, I was doing more. So self-relaxation, some of the things that was just like exposure, just doing my own research and just taking on more and getting a feel for what people wanted and then just adding on. So before you know it, I was teaching a step class, then I would teach a muscle conditioning, then I was teaching a Pilates class. It was like 3 classes back to back. And I'm tired just even thinking about I used to be working out, but it was good stuff. I still, once you're bitten by the bug, it's like blood through your veins. You can't get rid of it. And I think that's why I've just done it for so long, because it's second nature. Even if you get out of it for a little bit, which I did, but it's always there. It's always under the surface. So just my love for fitness has been huge. Just a huge part of who I am. So it's cool stuff.
What motivates you to teach instead of just taking classes?
I think it's just I think it's important when you have a passion for something, it shows. And when you've got that energy, I just like to share that positive energy I have with other people. And I think one of the most important things that you can do as an instructor is to have your own, when you have your own narrative. So I had my own personal goals, and I think the best thing that you can offer someone is to come to people and be who you are, just your authentic self. And people gravitate toward you when you're real, when you enjoy what you do. People pick up on that and they sense it. And it's important for me to be able to share what I know, to just be a part of people's fitness journey. And I use the words fitness journey a lot because our fitness journey it changes throughout our life based on our needs and all of that good stuff. But to just go to someone's class is cool, which I do. I do go to other people's classes, but I feel like I'm a part of someone's life when I'm able to teach and share my knowledge and be able to talk folks through, because I've had my own goals that I've been able to accomplish. And when you're able to accomplish those things, and you can speak realistically about how rough it is. Some days you don't feel like working out, but you're able to get yourself together and go, and being part of having that mindset and just being real, and you can share that with folks. I think people, they gravitate toward the honesty of someone who's not just out to make a buck, but they really have a love for what they do. And that's where I am. I enjoy teaching, and I enjoy meeting people. And it feels so good for someone to come up to me after class and just say, you know what, I was really struggling today. I'm glad that I came. I feel better. Or, someone came to me the other day. They were like, my clothes fit differently. And little things like that. When you think, I'm just coming in, I'm teaching class, I'm having a good time. But those are lifetime benefits that you're sharing with somebody else. And just to be a part of that for me is huge. It's something that it's there's so much value behind that.
Mhm.
So I love teaching, love it, love it.
So fitness is a combination of things. It's not just the exercise, it's also the nutrition component. Do you go into that at all with in your classes? Do you talk about nutrition, or even if you don't, what do you do personally, nutrition wise? Because for me, that's the piece of the puzzle that's always something that I struggle with. Like I can work out every day, but I still struggle with nutrition.
That's if there was something that was missing for me, that is missing for me, I would say that would be it.
Mhm.
I've had different things that I've practiced on my own, and then there's different programs out there that I've dabbled in as well. I I struggle with using the word diet because I feel like when you use the word diet, automatically mentally you're thinking about something that you cannot do um, anymore. And I think that's mentally, I think that's hard for people to have to process. I don't believe in not having something that I want. I just don't believe in that mindset because I know long term, that's not going to be real for me. I will tell you up front, I have chocolate every single day, and I have no intention of not having chocolate every day. I like sweets. That's the reality of it. I'm greedy. I love to eat. There's a lot of good food out here. So for me, I just said this to someone the other day. I said the worst thing that you can do is deny yourself something that you want and tell yourself that you can maintain that long term. Because realistically, in my mind, it's not fair to deny yourself things that you want. But if you want to have that burger, or if you want to have that piece of cake, or that glass of wine, or whatever it is, it's about um, setting your day up in such a way where, okay, I know I'm going to go to dinner and I'm meeting some friends. I know I'm going to have a glass of wine. I know I'm probably going to have a burger. I know I'm going to have some cake. So I know throughout that day, light breakfast, light lunch, so that way I can enjoy what I want to enjoy. And I think a lot of the different programs that are out here, whether it's counting points or prepared meals or whatever, they're based on that premise that you just have to monitor what you eat from day to day. And that's probably where I struggle the most. I'm not going to lie on that one. That's if there's anything. And I find like the older I get, I remember when I was in like my 20s, where if I put on a couple pounds, I knew I could just hit the gym, change my workout pattern a little bit, that weight would fall off. Then I hit my 30s, the same type of thing, but I had to adjust that a little bit differently. You have to hit the gym a little bit harder and then cut back on your food. Then you hit 40, and then the things that worked in your 30s don't work. So it's about finding what that groove is for you. But for me, it's about again not using that the word diet is to me it's such a dirty word because it instantly mentally I'm thinking, okay, what are you going to take away from me? And I know that there's nothing that I eat that long term I'm not going to that I'm going to give up. It's like there's these different types of fasts, smoothies, and all these different things, and everybody's body is different. But I just know I like to eat. So I just I can't tell myself that I'm not going to have chocolate today. Not gonna do it. I've already had some today and I'm probably gonna have some again later. So I think it's just about knowing yourself and knowing your body. And then also you have to be mindful of genetics. Um, there's some things that you can control. Genetics is something that you can't necessarily control. And then if you have any type of conditions, there's so many different things you have to consider. And then, if you have to take medications, all these different things come together to create who you are. But my mindset is um, you figure out what works best for you, and it's about behavior modification. You have to have that fitness component. I believe you have to have that mindful component, because that helps to pull everything together. That inner power, that spirituality, and then the nutrition. I think it all kind of comes together to help make you who you are. But to just say to deny yourself, I think is the biggest mistake that you can make. And hopefully, I'm not going to hopefully that doesn't freak people out, but I just believe that it's about just being honest with who you are. And in most cases, folks know I shouldn't have did that. The next day it's like, nah, shouldn't have ate that and that, you know. And I think too, it's eating, knowing when you're full and not eating just to eat. And that's my thing. I used to just, you go someplace, and this again in my 20s, get a seven-piece wing dinner with sauce on everything, fries, coleslaw, and smash everything. And then
Hot sauce Williams, anyone?
and now, if I tried to do that, you would have to take me to the urgent care. I would be a hot mess. But now is the difference between, yeah, could I eat it all? Yes. But am I full after 4 wings and half the fries and the slaw? Yes. So it's just about knowing your body, and your body gives you signals and signs. You just don't pay it. Sometimes we pay attention to it, sometimes we don't. But it's again behavior modification and just doing what's best for you.
Mm-hmm. On a more serious note, you are a breast cancer survivor.
Yeah, I am.
When were you first diagnosed, and how did that affect your life, change your life? And what role do you think your fitness played in your recovery?
So it was a very difficult, and I still struggle. Physically I'm good. Mentally and emotionally, I think cancer is one of those diseases that, and I just recently put something on Instagram where it takes something from you. It damages your spirit because it makes you think about things in a whole different way. Um, when I was diagnosed in 2014, just out of nowhere, which was really, I think, was the strangest, most difficult part of all of this, because I was in the middle of, teaching a number of fitness classes. Um, I would say, as far as health, I was in excellent health. Um, let's see. So teaching lots of classes, nutritionally was eating pretty well, minimizing how much I would, do like carry out and, all of that, a lot of fried food. So I was, as far as my diet, I felt like I was doing pretty well. Would drink, a social drinker. So it wasn't like I was drinking all the time, social drinker, not a smoker, no cancer in my family, um, family history. So it came from out of nowhere. The diagnosis came from out of nowhere. My primary care physician found a lump. I had one on each side. There was a small one she found, and my doctor, and I love her. She was like, you know what? She said, I want to just exercise on the side of caution. Let's just have this checked out. So let me worry so you don't have to. I was like, yeah, fine, all right. So checked went through all of this. They checked, I had to have both checked. They did biopsies. There was the one that she was most concerned about turned out to be nothing. There was another lump that I had since I was in my 20s, that they always, my doctors were kind of like, yeah, we're aware of it. It's nothing. You're too young to have for it to be anything. So I had this lump forever and ever, which was weird. So that was the one that turned out to be cancerous. So I remember the first thing, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was at the dollar store up in on Cedar, and I was doing some shopping for work, and the doctor called, and she was like, "Can you talk?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Yeah, breast cancer." And I remember it was like the earth just stopped moving. I was like, and I'm like, okay, is she kidding? I'm like, is this a joke? And she was like, she said, yeah, she said, you've got breast cancer. And the first thing out of my mouth, Erica, was, am I gonna die? That's the first thing. She was like, no, 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 not saying that. She was like, but we need to put a plan in place, and we need to do so quickly. And I remember thinking to myself, I was blindsided because like it came from out of nowhere, absolutely nowhere. So never really got the chance to digest it. Was diagnosed, I think it was in September of 2014. Was diagnosed, and I had to get, next week meeting with doctors. And I was meeting with the person I went to. She was at UH, and they started talking about what the plan was. At the time, my sister was working at Cleveland Clinic, and one of her colleagues is a survivor, and she loved her oncologist. And my sister was like, "You got to go to the clinic." And so it went from me meeting with the UH doctor to switching to Cleveland Clinic very quickly. So they had to map out what my plan was. So imagine me not even, I never got the time to really I never got the time for it to digest. I could never really take it all in because it happened so quickly, because it went from diagnosis to plan to putting things in place. So let me see. So 2014, the first thing they wanted to do was chemo, radiation, lumpectomy. Again, very rapidly. And I'm pausing for a moment because trying to take it all in. But so went through all of that, and it was just kind of, even now, just thinking about it, it was just so hard to just go through all of this, because you go through that, why me, why me, why me? But then I was like, why not you? What's so special about you? This can happen to anybody, because when you're looking at, I think at the time, they say, is it 1 in 8? I can't even remember the stats. But again, very hard to digest. And I remember going through just being so weak, was going through chemo, and it weakens you. So I was exhausted. So I would come in, come for my treatments, and would go right to bed. Get up, would barely have enough energy to use the bathroom, go use the bathroom, get back into bed. And just and again, not being able to process anything because it just happened again so quickly. So I think that once I went through all of it, and it was very difficult because you lose your hair, and that was part of my ritual. I would get my hair done every Friday, so that was part of my routine. Every Friday, go get my hair done, and then all of a sudden that was gone. So that little piece And it wasn't about the aesthetics at all. It wasn't about, oh, getting caught up in the looks. Because to be honest, Erica, once I lost my hair, I never looked in the mirror because I didn't want to know what I looked like. So it was like wash my face in the morning, get ready. You gotta wear big earrings when you don't have hair. So it's like I'll put on my earrings, but it was just about getting through processing. And I think that my ability to recover once I got through all of that, so I think I had the lumpectomy in March of 2015. It was crazy. It was around my birthday. And I think that me being fit helped. Um, I don't know if it did, but I believe that that contributed to my ability to be able to bounce back, that I was fairly healthy before.
Mm-hmm.
But it was crazy. And even now, it's still hard to believe because I still go through the type of breast cancer I had. It fed off of hormones, so I have to take anti-hormones. I had to take anti-hormones for the rest of my life. So that is what it is. I still go through bone scans. So every 6 months, I still get scans for my bones. Just had one this week. I have to get an injection for my bones because the medication that I have can cause my bones to deteriorate a little bit. So I have to take that. I have to get that done every 6 months. Still get my mammograms annually. This is basically my new normal. And it's funny when it was just this week I went through my appointment of my bone scan and all of that. And it's taught me, one, not to get so stressed out about silly stuff anymore, because
Changes your perspective, huh?
yeah, it does. And, I'm a fiery, even though I was born in England, I got that fiery Jamaican stuff from my parents. So I'm hot tempered. I'm ready to, I go from 0 to 60 real quick. And and I was just like, you know what? Some things just aren't that serious. And so it's like every morning I wake up because I'm blessed to have a couple of survivors around me. And unfortunately, I've lost a couple of folks. So, it's like I try not to take things so seriously. I try not to take, um, some things, it's like I'm getting all stressed out about stuff. Like, that's none of your business. Why are you stressing about something that's really, really none of your business and doesn't affect you? You've got a whole life that you need to be worried about, or not even worried about, to focus on. So my perspective is, you look for the blessings in every day. So every morning when I wake up, I'm thankful that I have another day because I know some folks haven't made it. So that it keeps things into perspective. It helps me to focus on what's real, what's relevant. And I think that's why fitness continues to be such an important part because again, I believe that you have, regardless of what your situation is, you have to do something, whether it's a line dance class, whether it's Zumba, whether it's walking, whether it's working in the yard, whether it's going to the gym and lifting some weights. We've got old parts, and these old parts have to, we're not a car where you can change your tires and all of that stuff. The parts that we have are going to be with us until we draw our last breath. So how do you get more out of what you have? And I think it's by exercising and finding something that you love and working out with folks. Get a gym buddy if you don't like working out by yourself, or just finding something that you enjoy that makes you feel good, and just embracing that. And I truly believe that if I wasn't as fit as I was before I went into that, I think that I still, regardless, I had a great medical team. I was going to recover either way. But still, I think that when you're healthier, I think that helps. Um, and I think that's why fitness will always be a part of who I am. And I could see being 90 with my walker. still, They'll try to teach somebody somewhere. I just feel like it's so important.
And invent a walker step class.
You know, it'll be silver sneakers, silver sneakers, Walker edition of step class. It's until I draw my last breath, I'll be doing something somewhere.
I know.
That's, cancer is such a horrible disease, and I have a lot of opinions, very strong opinions about this disease that I won't share because it's like there's it's just such an awful thing to go through. But I came out on the other side, and the word survivor just basically sums it up. But the one thing that always sticks with me, and I read an article, no one prepares you to be a survivor, because when you hear the word cancer, the first thing you think of is death. For me, that's how it was. Like, okay, how much longer do I have? How much longer do I have? So when you're a survivor, you never, coming out on the other side is a blessing, but you still bring along this baggage with you because you question, is it going to come back? And that's my new normal. It's like, is it going to come back? When COVID happened, the first thing I did, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to get the vaccine. And I asked my oncologist, it's like, should I? Because I don't want to compromise myself because, again, being a survivor, a common cold for some could last a week. When you're kind of compromised, when you've been through that, a common cold for me is a couple of weeks. So I still have to be very mindful about what I do and, exposure. So she was like, yes, I think you should get the shot. So it's like I'm always ultra sensitive. I'm probably one of the few people that continues to wear my mask when I'm out and about, just because I'm so concerned about any potential exposures. But I pray every day. I get up and I just keep it pushing, and and that's all you can really do. But it's rough. It's rough emotionally and mentally. It's very hard. Physically, I'm good. I could climb a mountain. I feel like I could climb a mountain with one hand. Physically, I feel like I'm the bomb. Mentally and emotionally, yeah, I struggle, but you just take it. You just take every day. And if I can share my story and uplift one person, then my work here is done. I think that's probably why I continue to teach, because there are folks out there that need to hear this. Whether I'm a survivor or not, they need to know that I've got all this energy to share and I want to be a positive impact on somebody. So this is me. This is my story.
And a wonderful story it is. And we're glad you're still with us and still sharing your gift.
Still pushing.
This should be motivation for everybody to exercise.
For sure, for sure.
So tell us about the classes that you're offering like right now.
Okay. So I teach in a couple different places. I teach at the Y. I teach it's an express class. It's a buns and abs class. Very quick and dirty, 30, and I try to change it up each week so folks never know, what kind of bag I'm coming out of. So I may use an exercise ball, I may use bands. I always use weights, we use the mat, sometimes we're on the floor, sometimes we're standing. So I do 30-minute express class at the Y. And then I also teach at another place. And it was just a random meeting. I bumped into somebody that used to take my step class years ago. And he works out of a gym with someone else, Michael Poindexter. We bumped into each other. He's Uplift Fitness. And he was like, would you like to just be a guest instructor? And I was like, sure. So it's in, I guess it's Beechwood. It's in the basement of church. It's Sharan Studios. So Sharan Marshall has a studio, so they collaborate, and I teach out of there based on this relationship I built with Michael, just kind of revisiting this relationship with Michael. So I teach, it's called Ripped and Ready, 45-minute class on Saturdays, and it's full body boom. So I'm working every muscle from head to toe, 45 minutes. At the very end, and I think this is the best part for folks. I do like a self-relaxation where I'm like, okay, lay on your mat, get into a sleepy nighttime position, and then I'll just kind of talk, put on some nature sounds and talk folks through just breathing, relaxing, and then folks are usually out, for like 5 minutes or so. So I'll do that. So that's Ripped and Ready. And then every other Friday, so that's Saturday mornings, and then every other Friday I teach a tummies and bummies, and that's a 30-minute buns and abs kind of situation. And again, it's just like real quick, tearing those buns up, tearing those legs up, tearing those abs up. And then when I really start to get on folks' nerves, class is over. And then I send them back. But that's where I'm teaching right now at a couple different places. And it's good stuff. And then when I try to do a couple days, on my own. So some type of cardio and weights as well. So typically at least 3 or 4 classes a week. And then if I can, I'll squeeze in a couple days just for myself with some cardio and some weights as well.
What is your favorite? You like weights, cardio, or the type of exercises where you just doing functional body training, using your own body weight?
I love lifting weights. That's my thing. And the more that I can lift, the better. I think cardio, I'll do that because I know that I need to do that. But my thing is lifting weights. If I can lift weights all day, I'll do it. That's my thing. And like free weights, maybe with the machines, but I try to balance it. Because again, I like the shock factor. So whenever I go to the gym, I don't do the same thing twice. Even if I'm working like the same muscle, I believe in just that shock value of doing something different each time, because you don't ever want your body to know what you're going to do. Even with the cardio, you want to try to, sometimes you do the treadmill, sometimes you do the rower, sometimes you do the elliptical, to try to mix it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. But my favorite is lifting weights, and then I love doing abs. I could crunch it out all day long too. I love that. That's my thing. I love it. Yeah, if I had to pick, those are my favorites for sure.
Okay. So what does the future hold for Undeniable Fitness? What kind of plans do you have to expand and grow?
Yes, I would love to see it grow. I was able to I got a cute little logo together. I love this logo. What my plans are, and I think just because I just started working out with Michael and Sharan at the studio. So I just started teaching there. Geez, I can't even remember how long I've been there. It's not a year yet. It started, gosh, was it in June, July, maybe around July. So it's still very new. So what I wanted to do is just try to get myself into the routine of, going there, kind of getting my feet wet, because it's kind of different when it's your own thing versus you going into the gym. So I'm slowly starting to think through branding. Who is my market? Who am I trying to appeal? Because you really need to know who you're targeting before you can fine tune your marketing strategy. Right now, I just really want to enjoy teaching. Um, and then once the dust settles with that, then I'll really work and try to figure out how I want to build that. I would love to see my numbers grow. Things are so different now because I know when I was teaching years ago, folks heard about you word of mouth. So when I was teaching, I used to teach a Severance Athletic Club, wonderful place. It was like a family-owned place. Um, and it was word of mouth. And my classes, step classes, I had like 20 people easily without even thinking about it. And and that was word of mouth. And then now you're in an age where it's social media, and you and I were just talking about this before we started the interview, that social media now is so huge in promoting and marketing. And that's something that I haven't mastered yet. And I think that once I really sit down, because it's like I have a full-time gig and then I'm doing this on the side. So it's like, you get off work, you do whatever it is that you have to do when you get off work. And, I don't know about anybody else, but I got to have at least 8 hours of rest. So I can't be up too late because I'm usually up at 6. So I can't be up too late. So that cuts into my time to be brainstorming and all of that. So I really need to kind of carve out what my life is going to look like, because I see this being successful, this venture with un.DEN.iable being successful, but I just have to navigate a new way of branding and marketing and utilizing social media as a piece of that, because word of mouth is still a very viable methodology behind promoting, but then social media now is just so big. And then at the same time, when you're kind of like an introvert who's learned to be an extrovert, putting yourself out there is still kind of difficult, so it's like you put yourself out there on Facebook, and then it's like, are you, you're attracting folks, are you really interested, or are you a looky-loo? And then there has to be a certain level of comfort with all of that. So I still have to get out of my head with regard to being a learned extrovert. So I just have to figure out all of that. And I know it's going to be successful. I know the numbers are going to come. I know my classes are going to grow. But it's just a matter of just focusing. Who do I want to attract? How do I attract this population and make things successful? But in my mind, if I got 2 people in my class, I'm already successful, because those 2 folks could have been someplace else. So my energy is not whittled down because I have 2. My energy is full throttle, whether I have 2, 10, 20, regardless. And I think that the folks that come to you deserve that. So anybody that comes to my class, they get the real deal every single time. They're going to get me cracking jokes. They're going to get me. Folks say they have trust issues because my counting is always jacked up, because I'll say 10 more, and then we get down to 1. I'm like, okay, 10 more. And they're like, wait a minute, you said 10, right? Or, it is, but I know with time, but it's not going to happen overnight. And I have to be okay with that. But again, for the faithful folks that come through, it's all good, because I know that these folks stopped their day, whatever they were doing, to come hang out with me. And then so whenever somebody takes some time out of their day to spend some time with me, I'm going to be thankful for that. So it'll come, and I'm sure that when folks get to see this wonderful interview, they'll be like, I can't get enough of her. I need more. So
Okay, well, that being said, how can people get in touch with you?
Lovely. So on Instagram, un.DEN.iable fitness. So UN, I think, period, DEN, period, iable _ fitness. That's how you would find me on Instagram. And then email, that's den@att.net if you want to email me. But yeah, I would love to connect with anybody who is interested in just carving out a little bit of time in their day for something fitness related. I promise you, if nothing else, you'll have a good time. My philosophy is great music. If you have great music, you create an environment where people feel safe. And you just, you got a decent personality where you come forward and you really care. That's the foundation for a great class, and that's where I am. So great music. We're gonna have a good time. I'll distract you so you won't realize that I've made you do 100 crunches. It's just about having a good time. So hopefully I'll get some folks who will be interested in hanging out with me. I'd love to meet some more Clevelanders, some wonderful folks in Cleveland, because people in Cleveland are dope for sure.
Absolutely. So, speaking of Cleveland, name 3 things that you love about Cleveland.
Oh, yes, three things that I love about Cleveland. Okay, so I love our summers. Our summers here are amazing. We have beautiful summers here, so that would have to be the first thing.
Okay.
Our sports fans are the bomb. Passionate, very, very passionate about our sports here. So our Cleveland fans are dedicated for sure.
Indeed.
And what else? Because I'm greedy, so I'm thinking about food. We got great food places here too.
Yeah.
I could rattle off some places. Slyman's corned beef. We're the home of Polish boys. I love a good Polish boy. Oh my gosh. But we've got great food places. So I would have to say our beautiful summers, our sports fans, and we've got great places to eat. And it's like I feel like Cleveland sometimes gets a bad rap, but in the flats, it's beautiful down in the flats just to sit, and look at the lake. It's beautiful in Cleveland. Give Cleveland a chance.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I love that. There's more that I love about Cleveland. Those are the top 3. And then, Cleveland Heights. Cleveland Heights is super diverse. So I just love the diversity of an area that's very diverse. But yeah, those are the things that I can think of for sure.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for your time. This is great. I loved catching up with you, and everybody out there, you need a fitness instructor. Check out Undeniable Fitness. She'll get you right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for reaching out. I miss you so much.
I miss you too. Okay, thanks again. Ciao for now.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.